What's up guys, Dave with Miracle Canine Training out here with another DIY dog training video. This time we got Leo out here. He's board trained that's about halfway through his training program, I believe, maybe a week and a half or so. And what we're doing here is we're working on some steps on how to teach the downstay outside, right? All of this stuff can get applied to a sit stay as well if your dog is not quite at the stages with the down. But this one we're particularly going to be using the down with him for. But again, same exact steps here. So a couple prerequisites here. You need to have a leash here. We are using a 20-foot long line. I prefer a long line when we're doing this because as we create more distance, it's safer to be holding a long line than it is to actually drop the leash until you start trusting your dog a little bit more. We have a remote collar. We have the dog conditioned with the e-collar with the walking up to the single tap stage. So part 2, if you've been following our videos on DIY dog training with that, we have it set to a level that's motivating enough where it's going to cause him to adjust his behavior if we need to use it. And then we have food here to reward when he's doing a correct job. So we're going to be taking you to 3 individual steps on how to get a very reliable sit or down stay here. Again, we're using the down, but all of these steps are exactly the same. You would just say sit where I'm saying down if you want to go that route with it. Totally fine. So let's go ahead and get started. All right guys, so step number 1 here, step number 1 out of 3 is going to be just making sure you can get the dog reliably into the position. So we're going to be using our down here, and I'm going to be utilizing our communication of no with an e-collar correction if he does not do the correct thing, and good with a reward if he does do the correct thing. So I'm going to do a bunch of these until the dog is doing them smoothly and consistently with me. So, okay. Down. Good. So got him into that down. Good. Okay. Down. Good. Okay. Down. Good. Good. Okay. Down. Now, one thing that we do with all of the downs that the dogs are here for is we teach them to swing their hips to the side. So notice before I go to reward, good. I'm holding that food over his head, hoping for him to kick his butt to the side just from the comfort of the way that I'm doing it, and I'm only rewarding when he swings those hips. Okay, this is gonna give you a much more stable down. Good. Good, and create a lot more reliability in the end. Okay. Down. Good. Now another important factor, okay, when you're working through this stage, down, is your timing, good, with the release. So notice after I reward, he still needs to hold that position until he hears that okay word. Okay, okay lets him know, down, that it's time for him to get up. Since we're not using the word stay for any of this, because stay is one of the most redundant words in the dog training language, there's never a time you're gonna say down but get up whenever you want to, okay, he needs to know precisely, down, when it's okay for him to get up. And that's why we have very good timing with that. If I were to, good, start moving, okay, and then saying okay, he would start cueing off of my motion being the cue to get up as opposed to that word. So we're gonna have really good timing with it, especially in these stages. Down. Again, that hip swing, good, every time, okay. Down, and if for whatever reason he didn't get into that position, I would be marking with no, good, and giving a correction on the e-collar, okay. Down. Good. Okay. Down. Good. Okay. Down. Good. Okay, we'll do one more of these. Down. Good. Now with that hip swing, okay, you're gonna start to notice that the dog starts offering those down before you even hold that food over just because of the patterning of it. So again, that's just a good additional tip, okay, to help with your downs when you're working on them, even if you're not doing these types of things. All right, so we're gonna move into step 2 next. Okay, so step number 2 is adding a small amount of duration. So before we add duration into any of the positions, obviously, just like in step 1, we need to make sure that the dog can smoothly get into that position. So next we're gonna be adding a very small walk around. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna utilize all of my communication I was just using, my no and my good, down. I'm gonna put him into command. Obviously, if you're doing the down, good. You're gonna do your hip swing. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk one small circle around him. No. If he gets up, I'll tell him no, down. I'll give a tap on my e-collar, and then I'll help him back into the position as needed. No, down. Good. Once I can get a full circle around, I'm gonna give an additional reward for that. Okay, and then I'll release him out of the position. We're gonna do that a few times. Down. Again, get him into the position. Once he's in, good. Hip swing and reward. Small circle. Good. And then reward for duration. So there's 2 individual rewards in this step. There's the one that is for getting into the position, and then there is one for the duration. Okay, and then notice how clear I'm being with that release. Down, into the position, good. Hip swing and reward, easy circle, good. Reward for duration, okay, and release. Down, good. Notice how he's starting to offer that hip swing like that. Do your circle. Good. Okay. Down. Good. Good. Okay, and just like with getting into the position, you're gonna repeat this drill down until you're getting almost 100% success with it. Good. Good. All right, guys, so step number 3 here is creating more duration through going further away from the dog. So just like we did with the single walk around, keeping it nice and easy, we're gonna start to make this more complicated now. Again, long leash, this is where this is gonna come into play. Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna walk over, down. I'm gonna do the same things as I did in step number 2. Good. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm going to start unraveling my leash. This is probably the most difficult part about it. Make sure as you're doing this, if you're using a long line, you're not putting any tension on the dog's collar. Notice I stepped on it right there, so as I was untangling this, it didn't pull at all on him. Obviously, we teach the dogs to not oppose the leash, so if you accidentally pull on the leash and the dog gets up, it's not exactly the dog's fault. So anyways, unravel your leash, start creating more distance, and you can kind of arc around the dog. You could kind of go all the way around the dog if you want to, again, being aware that your leash is not accidentally putting tension on the collar. And then whenever you want the dog to get up, go all the way back. Good. Reward for your duration again. And then with this, you can kind of pick up the collar a little shorter. Okay. And then release them out of that position. Down. So we're gonna go ahead and do that again. Get your dog into the position. Every time, don't forget, good, that hip swing, really important to start shaping that early on in your downstays. It is going to make this process 9,000 times easier. If the dog does not have food motivation, you got 2 options. One, you're just gonna have to work it without the hip swing and just correct the dog if they get up, or watch our video on building food drive and use that to build food drive in your dog, because it's gonna make the process a lot easier. Now, as I go along here, I'll be little by little, making this more and more challenging. Good. Okay. Down. Good. I'll be creating more distance. I'll be doing longer periods of time with the downstays. You could even do little things like crouch down, do a little jog move, all different things we've made videos on proofing our positions here, but obviously don't get too wild. Good. With that, until the dog is doing smooth with this step. Okay, come on. Down. Good. Good. Okay. You can go near more distracting things if you'd like. Down. Good. Again, making it challenging. Go behind the bushes, kind of go out of sight, come back over. Good. Okay, and we'll do one more of these. Down. Good. Good. Okay. Now, because of the clarity of the communication that we've used here, you'll notice that this has been a fairly positive process for Leo here. We haven't needed very many corrections at all, aside from when we just started our duration. And this is something we've never done outside yet with him. We've shaped some of the downstays inside, but outside of just basic stuff inside of the training room, nothing too crazy. So again, clear communication is the root of all of your problems that you may be having with teaching your dog new things. Because we have a way to tell the dog yes and no in a way that they understand, we're able to shape this stuff and create really good clarity of what we want. And that's what we're trying to do with this. We're trying to break things down and create systematic approaches to be able to teach things in a very fair and simple way to the dogs. Heavily reliant on positive reinforcement, obviously, but also utilizing negative reinforcement and positive punishment to proof those things and add another side of the equation to the communication we're having. Because unfortunately, if you're just using positive reinforcement, you're going to be able to teach a lot of things, but you're missing out on an entire realm of communication that can be used, again, in a really fair manner to teach these things, just like we did right here. So give this a whirl, go through those 3 steps, make sure you have your preliminary things. I can't talk today, however you say that word. established first. Make sure you got all the tools that you need going into this, and it should be a very simple process to be able to teach your dogs. Follow through, don't move on to the next step until you have really concrete clarity on that step before, and you should have a really bomb-proof down stay or sit stay at any time. Again, reiterating one more time, this can be used with sit stays as well. The only difference is you would give your sit command instead of your down command, and you would reward consistently for that way. So if you guys have any questions, hit it up in the comments below. If not, we'll catch you tomorrow.